According to Kate Hudson, happiness is a discipline that must be persistently pursued. You said that, right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. At age 37, Kate has managed to strike a happy or a pretty happy balance between family and fame. Whether she's preparing for an on-screen role building Fabletics, that's her line of athletic wear that I'm sure you all are very aware of, or spending time with her 2 children, she does everything with a sense of joy and gratitude. Everything?
I mean, I try. That's you know, that's the hope.
That's the goal.
Yeah, that's
and
the goal.
It's certainly impressive. So actress, entrepreneur, author, and mother, we are delighted to have Kate Hudson here with us today. How about a round of applause?
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for being here.
All right, so tell us first, what inspired you to create your Fabletics line?
I mean, speaking completely honestly, because I don't really know how to do anything else. It was actually, my partners came to me and asked if it was something that I'd like to formulate with them. I'd always wanted to get into fashion. I didn't necessarily think that it was going to be in athleisure. But when they came with me with this opportunity, I sat and I thought about it for a while, and I thought, well, this really represents me, you know, and what I am on a daily basis, and really what my passion is for women, which is sort of, you know, wanting to empower women to set goals and feel good about themselves and get healthy and get fit. And I just jumped on board and we formulated this company. We felt there was a hole in the market for affordable athletic wear that was really cute. And we crossed our fingers and we had just this tremendous success in the last 2 years. And it's just been awesome and something that I think has grown because it's very authentic to everyone who works inside of the company.
Now, you obviously grew up in the spotlight in Hollywood with 2 famous
Yeah, but I didn't grow up in the spotlight.
You didn't?
No, we actually grew up in Colorado. I grew up in Colorado. You know, my parents were really not, there were moments that we were sort of like, oh, what's that about? But we really grew up quite, you know, like any other kid. Well, not like any other kid, but you know, a pretty normal family.
Right. No, I mean, you can tell. I mean, if you follow Kate on Instagram, you just see how much your family is such a big part of your social media life. And so, you know, I kind of think we all feel like we know you a little bit, which is great that you share that. But you grew up with famous parents and you became a successful actress yourself. What has the transition been like? Has it been bumpy at all to go from what you knew, kind of a family trade, and what you had been extremely successful at, to also then becoming an entrepreneur, a businesswoman?
I think I've never overthought anything too much, you know, and I think that does come from having a real solid family. You know, they say, you know, when you have a family that sort of inspires you to feel like you can do anything if you put your mind to it, I really do have that family. And I always knew that if I failed, that I'd have, you know, my mom and my dad there to be honest with me, you know, if I was working hard enough or if I was, you know, but I always had that love and support. Like anything, I think, you know, for me, honestly, I have 3 brothers, so I have a very tough skin. You know, I think that one of the things that I did know as I started to get older with my parents was about being criticized. And there's a great quote, and I'm forgetting who said it, but if you don't want to be criticized, do nothing.
Right.
And so I think you just sort of, you can't help but let sort of, as you gain success in anything, I think, especially in Hollywood, you know, everybody wants to build you up to tear you down. But we learned that in high school too. So, you know, I feel like you just get to a certain point where you just stop listening to any of the noise and you start really thinking about the work and you start being honest with yourself about the work. Are you doing the best you can do? Are you making the best choices? And I think it's not about it's not about like, I had the kind of parents that wanted me to be better than them. And now I get it because I've got kids. Yep. And like all I want is for my kids to do better than I have done. And you want to sort of set the stage for them. And my parents did that I think, very well for all of us kids. And then the creative aspect of it is we are a family of storytellers. So my first and my favorite job, even though I do love having the company, but is being an artist and telling stories. And that's what we do as a family, and it's just what I know. So, did I answer that question?
You did. I mean, I was asking you, you were talking about just the passion that goes into the job. I'm curious, how much work is it?
You know, lately I've been very busy, but I love it. Yeah. And which brings me back to my family too, like, and what I know. I only ever saw my mom working hard. Yeah. And it was an amazing thing to watch. Sometimes it was hard because, you know, I remember my mom had this driver, his name was Randy, and he'd come to the house and I hated him. I was like, he's gonna take my mother away. But it's real. And I think anybody who's a mom and a working mom has that experience where, you know, but what it taught me, because she was such a present mother, was how hard she worked to create opportunities for other women, which was a big thing for me growing up. You know, she was the first female producer, actress, producing her own films as an actress. So there's a real trailblazer in Hollywood, and I got to see that, and that was what I grew up with. So all I know is like to put my nose to the grindstone, you know. Yep. And so it's just what I do.
It's just New York City.
It's
interesting though, athleisure. You know, you said you didn't necessarily see yourself in that genre of fashion. It's actually an official word now, recognized.
Yes,
in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, right? Isn't that great?
That happened a couple days ago. I'd like to feel like I'm a little part of that.
Well, you absolutely are.
You know, it's like I feel like athleisure has been my life forever, but we've never put a name to it, you know, and we've never put a lifestyle to it, because I feel like athleticism has always been like performance, and I'm like, no, that's not how. Granted, I am a frustrated athlete, but I do feel, I just keep talking. You didn't even ask me a question, and I'm just talking.
We're just having, this is called a conversation with Kate Hudson. You're allowed to interject and talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Okay, so now I forgot what I was saying.
We were talking about how athleisure is now one of the biggest fashion trends. You're a part of it, absolutely, with Fabletics. Who is the Fabletic consumer? What type of woman are you appealing to, and to what do you attribute its incredible success?
Well, we know what our consumers, and we know our goals as to how many more consumers we would like to reach, because for me, the consumer is hopefully the women that I'm reaching and the men that I'm reaching to get healthier. So that you know, we'd like to expand and continue expanding, really for that reason, because I'm incredibly passionate about that. But I think who we want to reach is everyone. Who we are reaching is a sort of adventurous, spontaneous, you know, colorful mom, woman, single working woman. But really, I don't ever like categorizing it, because I think what we're really trying to accomplish with our company is real diversity, and trying to get even the women who are like, I have never worked out a day in my life, trying to get them into some sort of active motion, you know? Right. And that's why the way that our company is sort of, you know, modeled and formulated is that we don't, you know, discriminate any body type, or, you know, like passion of activity. We really try to sort of capture, right, you know, every woman. So, yeah.
Well, your book, Pretty Happy, which is pretty good. You know that you embrace that healthy lifestyle. You want to give people accessible lifestyle choices. Fabletics absolutely plays into that. I always subscribe to the look good, feel good method. I mean, if you feel like you look good, you feel good, and then you might feel like you can do something you hadn't done before. Is that part of the strategy?
I think my thing is about being realistic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we don't spend enough time, and this is also because of my mother and how I grew up. I mean, her focus in life is about bringing more mindfulness to people, and I think emotional well-being and physical well-being have to go together, and so I want to be realistic. It's like I'm not super regimented. I went to dinner last night. I had like oysters that were just filled with cream, and I had a huge steak, which I don't eat that often, and I ate so bad, and I had a lot of wine, and I like to be able to live my life and still be healthy, like to have fun, but still keep myself in tune with, you know, how to be as healthy as I possibly can without limiting myself.
Right.
The best thing for me, and that's what my book is sort of about, is taking a more holistic approach, which is, to me, number one, is starting to tune into yourself, starting to connect to who you are, what you like, not what the fads are, not like some diet that's supposed to help in 30 days, because they never do. They slow your metabolism down, they make you bigger. And you have to change your lifestyle.
Yep.
And to me, that starts with, how do we motivate each other? How do we motivate ourselves? How do we make it fun? Because it's sometimes really not fun. And I think women take on so much. We do everything. That's not true, but it is. But it's not. But as a mom, you really do, you know? And I think that we for some reason, it's just in our nature. It's not like it's good or bad. It's just what we are.
We're control freaks.
It's just, we nurture and then we want to do things. And we nurture and then we want to, you know, get stuff done. It's just we're just different than men. We just have a different capacity. But we do a lot, and we put a lot of stress on ourselves, and we don't acknowledge it a lot of the time, and because that's also a part of how our brains work. But I think by learning how to do that and being honest with yourself, and that's sort of the first step to getting more motivated. You know, I know there's times in my life where, you know, whether it be a breakup or, you know, not getting, you know, a job or feeling down, whatever it is, the last thing on the planet I want to do is like go to the gym and, you know, like it's the last thing you want to do. But how do you get yourself in the optimistic mindset
right.
of knowing that there's light beyond that? And it's sort of allowing yourself to feel down for a couple days.
Yep.
And then picking up your bootstraps, you know.
How often do you work out?
It depends.
Because we're being really honest here, right?
It depends. It depends on my travel. It depends on working on movies. Like if I'm on a movie, it's really hard. Yeah. I'm one of those people that people think are crazy because like and I get this from my mom as well, who when I was little on airplanes, I'd see her like in the front by the bathroom, like doing downward dogs and like doing little like leg lifts, and I'd be like, Mom, you should embarrass me. Cut to like me with my leg up now on like a seat on American Airlines.
You're very flexible, I've noticed in all of your photos.
Yeah, well, I dance. I love dancing, but so if I'm not working out, like I'll just start doing something on the, you know. I'll be like doing plies or, you know what I mean? I always
wherever you are, whatever you can get in.
If I start to feel like things are a little, you know, and actually one of my tricks when I'm working is jump rope, because you can't really work out. So you get 5 minutes, I just jump rope.
That's good. I like that.
I don't know, but really when I'm home and I'm on a routine, I work out like 4 times a week. Maybe.
That's good. What inspires you? Who or what?
Other women, really like. What inspires me are like watching women get together and create things. Like that to me is, you know, what inspires me to do more.
Yep.
You know, because I think maybe I grew up with so much testosterone. You know, it was all boys in our house. It was just me and Mom. my girlfriends became such a huge part of my life as I got older. And they're like my rock, you know? Nurturing my friendships and my relationships with the women in my life has been the greatest sort of touchstone for me. And when I see them do things that succeed, I just feel like it's my success as well. And so that, I think, is very inspiring. And my kids, you know, my kids obviously inspire me to want to be here as long as I can. And also just have fun. You know, my kids inspire me to sort of like feel gratitude and just be happy that we're good at this moment and enjoy every second, you know? As you get old, you start losing people in your life, you know what I mean? People that you held on to so much, and it's the, you know, you start to experience what that is. And then for me, I'm taking that on as like, yeah, fuck it, man. I'm just gonna like live my life, you know, and just live. I just want to live it, and that is for my kids.
Yep. What are you most proud of with your fashion line with Fabletics? What do you say? Like what makes you say I did it? I accomplished that. I made it.
There's a bunch of different aspects. Honestly, Fabletics has been this. It's been 2+ years. It's been the biggest growing experience for me. You know, our success has been shocking. It was sort of a shocking, amazing, and with it came so much so fast of wanting to do different things and wanting to expand and how we expanded, but just like easing into what it is to like be a part of this business and be a part of this sort of group of people that we're all trying to create something. It's been really excellent. The biggest reward in all of it has been reaching women differently, having a different dialogue with them. Because I love being behind the curtain and I love playing different roles, but I love connecting with people. And so when I get to talk to someone about what they like, I mean, I was on a plane, as I feel like I am like now all the time, but I was on a plane and one of the flight attendants came up and was giving me feedback on our stuff, and I was like, okay, tell me everything. She goes, I love it. She goes, I need a little more higher waisted because I need some more support there. And I was like, great, we're on it. And we had like a real woman to woman talk about our needs, you know, and I just connect differently with people. Even writing the book was something where I got to connect with my fans, which as an actor, you don't get to do this. You know, we don't get to connect with people like that. We sort of are on a carpet and, you know, behind a rope or something. And I much prefer being tactile. And the most rewarding part is when I see a woman and she is excited and she tells me how much she loves the product and then tells me that she's lost like 50 pounds in, you know, and I just, like that to me
having an impact. That
to me feels like having an impact. That is what the real purpose is behind what we're doing. Other than looking cute, but like, you know, the real purpose.
It's a win-win. And speaking of connecting with your fans, I wanted to open it up for the last few minutes. If anyone has a question for Kate, she has graciously agreed to answer. So if anyone would like to ask a question, we have microphones and you could just stand up or raise your hand, say your name, and ask Kate anything. Come on, I know I got someone in here who wants to ask a question. Okay, right here.
Find out about you on Google.
Well, first of all, half the things, no. I'd say 2/3 the things on Google aren't true. We'll start with that. The internet's a funny little place. Some are. Some are true. I'm a homebody. That's boring. Is that boring? That's a boring one. Okay, what can I put? I don't know. I mean, I'm a homebody. That's really, I'm actually quite, yeah, I guess that is really, the one thing that I think people maybe would think that I sort of am on the outside or what, I'm really actually quite introverted. So I I like locking myself in rooms. And I dream. It's my favorite thing on the planet to do is just to daydream, to dream, which makes being a mother very difficult sometimes. But I just need to go into weird places and just do nothing. And then I get overstimulated. I don't know if anybody's read the book Quiet. Anybody? No? Yes? Great book. If you're a parent, I think it's a really great book to read about introverts and how we need to be sort of love it, encouraging the introvert as much as we do the extrovert, but whole other conversation. But I get really overstimulated after a certain period, and I just check out. I get headaches, and I'm like, I gotta go home. And then I like my cocoons. So I don't think people know that about me.
We have one right here. She's bringing the microphone so everyone can hear your question.
Hi, my name is Claudia Chan, and I run a global conference, She Summit, and I work with a lot of female leaders to really help them get clarity on their women's movement or the specific area of a woman's life that they want to empower. And I've noticed that, thank God, in the last few years, we've seen this, huge resuscitation of women's empowerment and feminism. Whether it's ad campaigns are empowering women, new women's fashion brands are empowering women. And celebrities, Patricia Arquette talked about the wage gap, pay gap, women in Hollywood. Jessica Alba's got Honest Company. We're seeing Kerry Washington's a spokesperson for domestic violence and financial abuse. So are you seeing as such a huge name and force out there among women actors and in Hollywood that there is a movement that's starting, with women and really all of you coming together because you're such role models and a huge microphone for change?
I think feminism got a bad name. And I think that, I just think, what I like about it is just that everybody's just sort of sick of keeping their mouth shut. I just think it's more about do I really have to be so polite? I mean, let's just be honest. There's a problem here, so it's just so apparent. At some point, you sort of get tired of being so, having to play the part versus just being authentically, expressing how you feel about certain things. And like everybody says, if someone says they're not a feminist, it's well, then they're not, then they're not for human rights. I mean, it just doesn't even make any sense. And I think that, I just think the dialogue has become way more open, which is important. And so therefore women aren't afraid to come out and talk about how things affect us and what's really going on, it's tricky, isn't it? It's a tricky thing. I think that to me, feminism isn't about I don't want to be a man. I don't want the man's job. I just want to be a woman doing what I want to do and having the same opportunities. And I think that any balance, and I say masculine and feminine as a energy, not as a gender, that it balances each other. It's like the battery, it's the positive and negative, just sort of balancing everything. And I think that needs to become more balanced because it's not one against the other or one weighed up against the other. It's about how we are different, and that's a marriage and a union and should be harmonious and equal, and because it will create, I think, better opportunity for everybody. So with that, it means that all of the things that go along with that need to come up to par, And I'm also I think that women. To me, it's also about childcare. It's about boards. I'm a big believer. I think that it should just go without saying that 40% of any board should be female, and it's a big one for me because really that's where a lot of this gets done in the business world, and I just feel that should go without saying. But there's a lot of things like that just aren't there yet, and so we just need to keep having the dialogue instead of making it some sort of, war. It's just we just lead by example, and we lead by being honest. We lead by being, vocal.
Yep. Well, we are unfortunately out of time. I know more people wanted to ask questions, but I know we all knew we loved Kate Hudson, the actress, walking into this, but I think we can all say it's really nice to hear and be inspired by Kate Hudson, the person, the entrepreneur, the woman, the mother. Thank you so much, Kate, for being with us today.
Thanks for talking to me. Thank you, guys.